Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Galactic Explorers with your two favorite channelers, Miss Dallas and myself, Daniella. Welcome back to the podcast where we go through the earthly, everyday, scientific, metaphysic topic, your questions through that galactic perspective. So today we are going to do one of our ball pulls as we traditionally do. So Miss Dallas, what have we got for us today?
All right, pulling from the bull. Let's see what we have the universe for today. The universe has for us today. No. Ooh, it's a big one. Ooh, question. We have a question.
There we go.
Despite daily grounding practices, and I still feel not grounded, how do I not feel judged, get more grounded? How do they, outside source, know I'm not grounded? Despite daily grounding practices.
So about grounding.
Welcome to Galactic Explorers. Okay, let me read it one more time.
Yes, please do.
Despite daily grounding practices, I still get told, okay, I'm not grounded.
Okay.
How do I not feel judged, get more grounded, or how do they, outside source, know I'm not grounded? That's a good one.
That is a good one.
I can see that in a lot of like other in this community of the metaphysical way, natural being of there's so many ways people ground that I feel there's this what's the word? Um, like an expectation that you have to ground this way to receive these results. But knowing that everybody's different, I mean, the way you ground is probably different the way I ground, right? But that doesn't mean you're not grounded.
Right. And then one point that I think would be important to mention too is that along the lines of since we are all our own individual thing going on, we all have our own like different details about how and what and right, what works for us, what doesn't. What actually is grounded for you may not be grounded for that person.
Right. Oh yeah,
So
totally.
they may be projecting their lack of personal groundedness onto you because even if they're empathic and feel like they can tell what's going on with you, you're your own individual person and experience. So what may actually be quite grounded for you in your personal experience may not seem to be grounded enough to another person.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like it's a personal level thing where it's like I know that I'm not the most grounded person, but when I'm grounded, it's still less grounded than Frank is, seemingly on the outside.
Right.
Because Frank's coming at it from another level than I am. So if he goes around telling me it's like, "Oh, you're not grounded because you're running around, you know, doing whatever I do," and all of a sudden, is trying to tell me I'm not grounded, it's like,
right.
right, so it may be a case of that as well.
Oh,
In that sense. So it's good to like take personal stock in a sense of what do you like feel about yourself? Do you feel that
right.
you're grounded? Does it, what is grounded to you? What do you even expect that to feel like? Because that's a big thing too. Talking about expectation, right? Is because
Yeah.
you get told what it's supposed to feel like. Is that what it feels like for you really to be grounded? Or do you recognize what that feeling actually is for yourself?
Right.
Expecting it to be feeling like something else, right?
Right. Well, I feel if well not feel if to be if someone's judging you on like that you're not grounded enough. And that was a perfect example of how you and Frank are different in those ways of, yeah, you don't know everybody's energy or what they're going through at that moment. So if they're not grounded, maybe at that 1 second, that doesn't mean that you're not a grounded person or that you're not staying grounded. Because I think we're not really supposed to stay grounded 24/7.
Right. That's a good
Really feel that we are aware and that, hey, I need to center myself
point.
sometimes and get grounded. It's kind of
Mhm,
a checkpoint of like,
mhm.
okay, I'm here, I'm aligned, I'm whatever you how you go through your thing and go, okay,
Yes.
now I can go through my day. And you're gonna spin out and that's when you recheck yourself again.
Right.
That doesn't mean like, oh, I gotta stay like this all day long, all
Right.
the time.
Right.
Because that's just gonna burn yourself out. And then you're gonna be so stuck in that mode of judgment.
Mhm,
I'm
mhm.
not grounded. I'm not, like
And
it's
that's a
okay
whole
not
nother level. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing to be laying on yourself is when you get into the
right.
self-judgment that's projected
Yeah.
onto you from other people, which is actually kind of in a big way been coming up about other things in our
Oh,
like we were just kind of talking about it, and actually a student just made a video in the monthly academy, right, that she was talking about other people projecting their expectations of what it should be like or should look like
mhm.
onto you, and then you conforming to that to receive their support and validation and
Right,
backing, and all of these things, like the reasons why you conform yourself to that idea. And then you end up judging yourself because you're not that idea, because you're not that idea,
right.
right? You're not what you're the experience that is not going to be what they expect. So
Mhm.
by taking that kind of expectation on to ourselves of what it should be like, what you should feel like, what it should seem like all of these things, it
Right,
only ends up backfiring to us because we're not doing what's natural to us anyway. And then we grind on ourselves for not being true to
right.
ourselves on top of it,
Yeah.
which just keeps the loop go. So
Mhm.
that's a whole loop in and of itself
Right.
to
Well,
unravel about other people's judgment on you, or the
and
lack very much thereof, where you could just be like, no, that's
yeah, and you're still living in their expectation where you're still giving yourself out and trying to please others instead of pleasing yourself and not being within your own
mhm,
alignment, your own truth, or whatever you want to call it,
mhm, mhm,
where you're still like, okay, I need to please this person or I need to have this for, meet their expectations. Because if you're still trying to meet their expectations, you're not meeting
right,
your own. And you'll never get grounded because you're outside of yourself. You're not within
right,
yourself. That's
right,
what grounding is. It's within yourself.
yes,
It's not grounding to, it's grounding within. I think that's
yes,
a big thing that we have a hard time wrapping our heads around, that you have to come within and do it within
yep,
yourself. Then, okay, I need to go around outside of myself, or I need to do this to be outside to accept things from the outside, which is you have to accept things, I think, from your inside,
mhm.
right?
Speak on
And
it. I mean, really, seriously, because that's huge. Is a
right,
huge point.
yeah. And to be more grounded, the second part of the question, get more grounded. I think it's just having that awareness.
Mhm,
That's it. I think it's just having the awareness of where you're at, or if you feel like you have to meet someone's expectation, or you feel out of whack of it, then check in with yourself. Okay, why am I feeling this way? Who's triggering me? What is triggering me?
mhm, mhm.
What is grounding to me? I think
Right.
that's the first one. You right? What is grounding to me? How does it feel to be grounded within my body? What do I do? How do
Yeah.
I do that?
That is definitely point number one, I think, is to figure out and make sure you're familiar with the feeling of what it feels like to be grounded for you.
Hmm.
And it doesn't always have to mean that you're in like this perfect place of inner peace or anything like that, because you can be perfectly excited walking around in the woods and be grounded.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You can be perfectly excited going, shopping or doing something and be grounded,
Mhm.
because it's the awareness of yourself in the moment, enjoying the moment, being in the moment, and not being spun out by trying to feed into other people's expectations and failing. That's what creates the spin out in the first place.
Right.
It's because we're failing to meet some expectation that we've placed on ourselves or that somebody else has placed on us that we've taken in, that we're trying to adhere to. So yeah, what does being grounded feel like to you versus that spun out version?
Right.
And then remember just to do your best to realign to that however you need to, because some people it's feeling their feet on the ground, it's connecting with the earth that allows them to ground to themselves.
Right.
It's just a tool, and I think that that's a really great point that you brought up earlier, is that it's not about trying to ground to the earth, it's not about trying to ground to anything physically outside of your physical body. It's
Mhm.
using the earth tone to self center, right? It's
Right.
using the bowls, the singing bowls, it's using the meditation, it's using the yoga
Mhm.
to create an environment energetically wise within yourself that's more
Yes.
centered and not spun out, which
Right.
is what grounding is.
Right. Yep. Right. Because I know that's one of a way that I ground is I don't always ground to earth.
Right.
I ground, okay, here's the top of my head from within my body to the bottom of my feet, where I'm feeling it, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not connecting with it. Because we have to think too that even earth has her own vibration.
Mm-hmm.
But if she's having a bad day, which she does, do you want to connect to that and then feel like, well, why am I not grounded? Well, let's think about it. Where are you grounding to all the time?
Yeah.
Every once in a while, yes, I do, because that's where I need to like do my own thing, but
Yeah.
not all the time. I'm grounding within my body
Right. Mm-hmm.
because that's where I have to be in. I need to be present, right? Like you said, you
Right.
need to being present. And it's like I'm feeling the grass, but I'm not going to absorb it in. I
Right.
feel it. So I
One of
love
my
that.
favorite techniques that a friend of mine who is literally not metaphysical at all, he cracks me up. He says this kind of shit comes out of his mouth, and then I have to look at him and like, and you say that you're not into any of this? Okay. Okay.
Right.
But anyway, this is one of, I use this technique to this day. And so if this person ever hears this podcast, you know who you are once I say this. And thank you. Is that he was talking about, it's like whenever you're spinning out, right, and you're freaking out and you're almost like having the out of body experience, right, where you're literally beside yourself because you're just like so overwhelmed that you just don't feel like you have anywhere to move. Feel your feet.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so simple. Like when he told me this years ago, I was like, the fuck, feel
Right.
your feet. Okay. Like, all right, okay, I'll take it
Mm-hmm.
in, under advisement, whatever, whatever, whatever. And there was this one time I remember, and of course it's happened multiple times since because now I use it. But there was that first time where I was just ripping my own damn self a new one and just spinning right the hell out. And I remembered what he said out of the ether, right? Feel your feet. And so it's like, okay, just plant your feet wherever they are, whether you're in your house, wherever you are. Even if they're in shoes, you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
But you
Okay.
bring your conscious attention, your awareness to feeling the bottom of your feet,
Mm-hmm.
feeling like what, if you got socks on, what the sock fabric feels like against the bottom of your feet, like the weight, you know, and
Right.
or like what the wood floor feels like, or what it, like you just feel the sensation of the bottom of your feet, and the awareness pull is strong enough to pull you out of a spin momentarily long enough for you to catch yourself and go, what the actual fuck was I spinning on?
Right.
So that is like a self-grounding technique that my friend who is not metaphysical, love you, dude, told me years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it works. It's the craziest thing. It is so simple,
Right.
but it works. And you're grounding to yourself because you're feeling what the bottom of your feet feel like. You're not trying to branch down roots to anywhere and connect to the center of the earth or connect up to galactic center and all the rest of the things. Look, don't get me wrong, I do all that shit all the time.
Right. There's a time and
Let's
place.
not
There's
get
a
it
time and
twisted.
place. Right.
Yeah, I am in no way degrading that practice in the slightest. But to ground to yourself is the most important place to ground when
Mm-hmm.
you're spinning out and when you feel like you're ungrounded. Because doing those other practices of reaching out to galactic or reaching out to soul or reaching down, into Gaia are really honestly best done when you are already grounded to yourself.
Right. And I think that's a good point too. If when you do those grounding to like earth and source, like for me, that's like before I do like a meditation or channeling of making sure I have my anchors in, right? And so I know my points to come back kind of thing.
Hmm.
Not to say I don't do that just to center myself sometimes, but I think that's the main time when I do is when I channel or meditate is I
Hmm.
anchor, and that's when you want to connect to the big dogs kind of like.
Well, yeah, you're recentering to a slightly different pole. It's like you're
Yeah.
magnetizing yourself to a different pole. So you're grounding to a different pole,
Right.
but you've already grounded in within yourself and you feel yourself in your own body. And
Hmm.
then you reach out in either direction,
Yeah.
right? In those cases, because particularly when you're talking about channeling, if you're trying to reach out to ground yourself in the middle of a spin, we'll say, like for instance, if you're trying to reach out, sometime like you can end up sort of spinning yourself out even more sometimes, I'll say.
Right. Right. You have that feeling of not connection already to your
Right.
body.
Or vice versa, if you try to reach down to Gaia and like you said, and she's having a bad day too, and it's like you're having a bad day and you're trying to reach down and it's like, the reality is reflecting back to you that you're having a bad day. So she's having a bad day, and so it's just making it worse. So it's like really
Right. Yeah.
important to, if you're going to be reaching out to these things, to be doing these practices, to be reaching out and trying to make contact with things, is to ground in yourself first, so you know what your body feels like, you know what it
Hmm.
feels like to be in your body in
Right.
the
Yeah.
present moment, so that as other things come into your field to communicate with you, you're not tempted to reach out to them as a source to balance yourself.
Right.
You're already
Right.
balanced,
Hmm.
right? So feel your feet before you do anything.
Right. Right. Even my acupuncturist is like, you have all this energy, touch the bottom of your feet. I teach that to my kids. Like, just touch your feet real fast. And that brings that energy all the way down. So
That
just
focus.
however you
Hmm.
do it,
Hmm.
visualize it. Like that's what I do too with my feet, or touch your feet, or it takes you, bringing you.
That's a good one too. Is just, yeah, to reach down and like touch your toes if you can, and
Uh
because
huh.
yeah, it's like really bringing the tactile sensation of yourself back into your body.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I'm here in this physical body. Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah, okay, we're here. Okay, we're good. Everything's good. I'm still alive. I'm still breathing. Yep, still breathing. Okay. Yep. Okay, there's a roof. Okay, excellent. Look, there's my dog. Okay, we're good. Nothing is wrong. There's technically nothing wrong. I'm literally not at want for anything. Really? Okay. You
Right.
know.
And then I think to wrap it up for the last part of it is, how do they outside sources know
Mm,
I'm not grounded? I think that is almost a reflection of how we feel we have to be grounded. And it kind of ties it back to we were saying earlier of expectations, of
mhm.
meeting someone's expectation
Mhm.
and having the expectation of what we think it is, of um uh
You got it.
I know I'm trying to like word it like, you know what I'm saying? It's just going back to that expectation of others. They can say that because maybe they're spinning out and they're reflecting their own spin out, or you're showing them something.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so
you
then
could
it's
be
more of
triggering
like,
them.
instead of judging yourself on that, of going, oh, wait, am I really? Or are they just not sure of themselves? And I
Right.
just need to, so it's just a question of like, wait, is that really mine or is that theirs?
Right. Yep, that's a whole
Kind of
nother
thing.
step too to it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people can tell, like when you're in a funk and you can't really see it for yourself, but like your best friend kind of tells you like, good God, girl, get a grip.
Right.
Um, that can be a positive reflection of when someone's trying to indicate to you that you may not be grounded in self, right? But like you said, Dallas, is that it is an opportunity to take a moment and do that reflection inward to see whether or not that person is pointing out something that you've been not looking at, or if they are just projecting their own ideas onto you.
Hmm.
Because cases of both happen where you do have people that either just blip into your lives to, like come and pull you out of something, or it's somebody close to you, or it's like you do have these moments where people around you are trying to help you by pointing things out like that when saying it's like, you know, you may not it's like you may not be grounded, but it's generally too you can tell in the way that they put it. You can tell
Right.
if it's like a power over power type thing where it's like, oh well, you're not grounded, so you need to take this course, like there's that, you know what I mean? So it's really down to the individual, to have that moment of discernment where it's like, is this something that I really have been ignoring, or are they just talking out of their butt?
Right. Yeah. Right. And not to place judgment and a hardship on yourself over it.
Correct.
It's like, oh, okay, maybe I do need to center myself for a minute and check myself. There's no wrong in that either. But then it
Right.
brings you to a different level of that self awareness of, I don't have to really listen to what they say because I feel fine, and then you go about
Right.
your day kind of thing. Or maybe they are right. Maybe I should take this course, or maybe I shouldn't take this course, but like
Maybe I
it'll
do need to check it before I wreck it.
right,
Like,
like just check with it. I don't think there's any harm of
no. Because if you can check it and
questioning.
you can catch it, then you're like, oh, okay, well, now I am in a position to do something about it
Right,
and
right.
take different actions and decide and make different decisions and, make those small steps and do those things that, like use your other tools, right? Like that we talk about
Hmm.
in all the other podcasts.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it's very much an individual awareness point
Yeah.
as to what grounded feels like for you. And it also all ties into you have to be grounded more or less in yourself to be able to make that discernment as to whether or not somebody's talking out of their butt or not.
Right.
To even make that discernment, like for, like honestly to yourself, you have to be grounded within yourself to a large degree to be able to discern that for yourself. So it's like a
But
catch
check with yourself
22,
first, okay? Check with yourself.
right? But it's true. So, and the more that
Yeah.
you are grounded within yourself, the more you can discern where it's like, oh yeah, I think I am a little bit out of whack here, over here. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. And it's like not that big of a hit because you know that the majority of the time you're solid. But everybody, it's like everybody pulls a muscle every now and again for crap's sake.
Right.
Like it's the same kind of thing. You're just like, oh, I pulled a muscle. All right, well, I just need to back up off that, ice that, and stop doing that. Okay, cool bean.
Right. Because we're human.
Right. There are things in our environment that we have to interact with and make choices about, and right, I mean,
And
it's
we
all
move
part of living,
on.
it's all part of the experience, it's all part of living, and all the rest of that. So
We
yeah,
move on.
don't take other people's comments as judgments on yourself, even if it comes across in a judgmental way. If it comes across in a judgmental way, it really is almost always a reflection of themselves rather than what's actually going on with you to one point. But it's very easy to be able to ground within your body to familiarize yourself with that sensation so you can always check back in with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thoughts on grounding. So hopefully that helps. Let us know if you'd like us to go into anything further about grounding, different techniques, or anything like that. We love hearing from you guys. Trying to think if there's anything else we wanted to cover. Nope.
No, I think we covered it. I think that was
That's
a
a good
good
one.
one. It's
Yeah.
great.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you guys for hanging out with us while we covered a little
Mhm.
bit of talking about the issue of grounding. Thank you for your questions. If you have any more, you can always drop them below in the comments or send them to us via email. We are all over the place. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, all the wonderful things. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And yeah, we love you guys. We will see you next time. We're going to be bringing lots more interesting topics and things. So yeah, that's the word.
Yep. Yep.
Custom. And that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. I'm just ending everything with that now these days. And that's the bottom line.
Stone Cold said
Stone
so.
Cold said so.